Hey guys, what is up and welcome to a quick new League of Legends video. So it seems like ZAC has been announced to be a part of the big tank or Vanguard update that is going to be coming hopefully very soon. Honestly, I'm thinking at this point we can probably expect the actual tank update to be on the PvE server in about a week from today. But regardless, I want to talk to you guys about the post made by Riot that is talking about what they want to do with ZAC, the direction that they want to take the champion, and overall just give you more details on what we can definitely expect to see once the tank update and the actual changes become public and live. Now, ZAC is definitely somewhat of a surprise. I mean, a lot of people probably did not expect ZAC to make it on the list of the big changes coming in for the tank Vanguard updates, but apparently he's definitely there along with Sejuani and Maokai. So first and foremost, let's take a quick look at what exactly Riot feels like is actually good about ZAC currently and what is gonna most likely remain to be the exact same or only just very slightly different. So first and foremost, I think Elastic Slingshot is a very fun and good ability that really just demonstrates the thematic gameplay that ZAC provides. So you can most likely expect for this E ability to not be changed whatsoever, and if it will be probably just the slightest of nerfs, such as maybe changing the numbers here or there, maybe making the range shorter or longer or the damage less or more. And I definitely agree with this because this ability definitely defines what ZAC is meant to be, this sort of gooey champion that flies around the map and has ooze everywhere, and I mean he's really the only champion that can literally fling himself across the map. Following this, part of ZAC's passive where those blobs randomly drop around and he can pick them up again every time he uses an ability and it gives him HP back, well, that's also really cool and kind of makes sense in his thematic gameplay of being this gooey type champion, so that's most likely going to be remaining just as is. Again, the only changes you can probably expect to see are ones that are just maybe number changing or nerfs or buffs and things like that, but other than that, the actual gameplay of the passive will remain the same. But speaking of his passive, it seems like the second part of it, Cell Division, will also be remaining the way it is, because Riot seems to enjoy the fact that it encourages ZAC to just engage really deep and just truly go in the backline and be the sort of displacement knockback type of Vanguard or tank champion, which is exactly what they want him to be. And all of these abilities with his E, his passive, both of them kind of fits that thematic playstyle and gives ZAC exactly what Riot wants him to do. So overall, I do kind of agree with what they're saying about ZAC here. I kind of find his passive where he regenerates a little bit annoying, and it's kind of weird because there's just so many champions that have some form of revive passive. Again, technically Zillion with his ultimate, Aatrox with his passive, ZAC with his passive. It's not necessarily very unique, so maybe they could have thought of something a bit more interesting in that sense, but other than that, it's definitely a good thing that they're keeping Elastic Slingshot and the passive blob pickups the way they are, because that's truly defining of what ZAC is meant to be. But now that we have a good idea as to what most likely will not change about ZAC and what will remain consistent throughout his rework, let's take a look at exactly what is most likely going to be changed, because there's definitely quite a few things. So in terms of initiation, Riot is happy with how ZAC plays out, but after the initiation is where Riot seems to be displeased with ZAC. As they say here, ZAC's current kit encourages him to activate all of his abilities in a single burst for maximum damage instead of spreading them out to disrupt and bounce around the enemy team. So after initiation, there's very little variance or mastery to his combat pattern. All you really do, again, yeah, you just essentially spam Q and W up until your target ends up dying or until you've soaked up enough damage to where your backline ends up pushing in and killing their frontline first. So just like every other tank so far in the overall tank and Vanguard update, what they want to do is try and shift a little bit of ZAC's reliable damage, again just spamming W and Qs, into kind of more additional forms of CC. Something that can really provide his team and just ways that he can disrupt the enemy backline and truly be the displacement knockback type champion, because currently he doesn't seem to be doing a very good job of that. So with all that being said, how is Riot planning to achieve this? What exactly are they going to be changing in order to satisfy this goal? Let's take a look at that next. So the first thing that they're definitely changing is going to be his Q ability, Stretching Strike. It doesn't really do a whole lot to give the idea that you're actually stretch punching someone, and for the most part the idea of the ability is pretty much the same thing as his W, where you just kind of AoE damage when you're right beside someone. I mean, his Q actually slows while his W I believe does not, but other than that, the idea behind both of these abilities is very similar. You get into someone's face and you just spam QW on them and you're pretty much using more or less the same ability, it just does very slightly different things. So we can definitely expect his Q ability to have something completely different and essentially be a new ability. But following his Q ability, which will get a change for sure, we also have his ultimate, Let's Bounce. Now apparently this one will also be getting a change. Now I'm a little surprised about this because the goal that Riot wants to have with ZAC is again to be a displacement knockback type Vanguard, and I feel like that's literally what his ultimate does, but apparently they feel like it's just a more chaotic version of Wukong's ultimate rather than the potential teamfight defining moment that ZAC's unique sticky bounty nature promises. So it seems like even though they just said that they want him to be a displacement champion that offers knockbacks, which is what his ultimate provides, apparently now his ultimate isn't good enough and they want to change it. So in terms of actually changing his ultimate, I'm perfectly okay with that, but it just kind of conflicts with what Riot just stated with what the direction that they want ZAC to be in and what they want the philosophy behind the champion to be. So if I had to guess, it does seem like his ultimate will still more or less be the same nature, will still be a knockback displacement type ultimate, but it'll just work in a different fashion and probably just be a bit more, I guess, rewarding and more closer to his overall thematic and gameplay fantasy. But you can definitely expect, without question, for his Q ability, his ultimate, and probably even a bit of his W to get changed, and that's going to be the main focus of the rework. And the last little bit of extra changes that I want to kind of mention that isn't really focused on his actual gameplay changes, it's more of kind of a cool thing to have, is apparently now his voice will actually pitch up and down as he changes in size. So I'm assuming when he's very small, it'll be kind of high pitched and squeaky. When he's very, very big and full HP, his voice will sound a lot more kind of maybe deep and manly and, you know, kind of that alpha male sort of voice. So that's a pretty cool addition. It'll definitely give you that better feel of actually playing ZAC and that he's actually changing in sizes, and it does mean something. But again, nothing major, just more of a cool and for fun thing to have. Now, I don't want to keep this video too long. I want to give you guys just a very quick idea that ZAC not only is going to be a part of the big changes for the tank or Vanguard update, but we know that both of his passives and his E ability will most likely remain to be the exact same, if not maybe very slightly different, while his Q and ultimate will probably be getting the biggest of changes and potentially also his W. So now you have a better idea as to which champions will be part of the big reworks, what's going to be happening to them as well. And again, once the reworks finally hit the PvE server, once the actual abilities are out, you guys know I'll be making gameplay videos of that for you all day, all night. So let me know down below what you think of the ZAC rework. Do you think Riot is right in choosing ZAC to be a part of the big changes for the Vanguard update? Do you think that they're taking him in the right direction? Let me know down in the comments below if you enjoyed the video and if you're hyped for the ZAC rework that is coming up very, very, very soon, and my guess is just a week. Then let me know also by hitting that like button. But either way, thank you so much for watching. Make sure to share this video with your friends so everyone else knows who is going to be updated for the Vanguard update. But I hope to see you for the next one as well. Peace.